anything you're making at the time that opens up a way of thinking or like a new door in your brain is exciting.
First, we've got, so you make these, right?
Yeah, I hand sewed those.
Wow. Let's walk us through anything with these. I'm like enamored by them.
So part of it was also, this one I was thinking a lot about being in my wheelchair. And so when you're bedbound, it's just the feet mostly, but then I, have spent a lot of time in wheelchairs for different like surgeries. But then having the feet placed in the middle and then your hands are what allow you to go places. So it's sort of like this format of the hands and the feet, and then in the center, a get well balloon. And so I think of the concept of getting well as like get well soon as being a little bit nonsensical, where like, what does get well even mean? For the large sequin patches, it's one of the few art forms that I can do when I'm bedbound, so that was part of why I knew I was gonna be trapped in bed waiting for, like dealing with my foot surgery, and so I made sure to have all of the materials that I was gonna use, and that's a thing that I can do. So it's like tens of thousands of individual hand sewn, sequins, and then I actually resin it so that it is because sequins are connected by there are threads in there, and sewing on is also thread, although mostly I use more of a more plasticized thread, but nonetheless with these threads those will eventually deteriorate, so hence resining it holds it in there.
Everybody, we are getting the full treatment. You are all so lucky today.
Here you can see the hand sewing. That's
your signature here is, and did you embroider this or do you find P's and M's all over?
Those are found objects, and then I oil painted them.
Okay, and is that what I'm seeing going on over here for your next work?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And then like on the I Am Trans, for example, those are Legos, the flowers at the top.
And are they glued or sewed in?
Those are glued.
When I met you, you talked about a kid you tutor and covering up this work. Yes. Can you tell that story for our audience?
Yeah, so I was tutoring a student whose school doesn't allow teachers to use they, them pronouns to be out as trans or non-binary. And so whether or not the child and the child's parents would have been okay with it, honestly, I'm not sure, but I also just didn't want to that's a whole conversation. So I just didn't want to be that person or have that really uncomfortable moment. So I sort of put up with the she, her pronouns, the Ms., ma'am, reverse of things. And it grated after a while. I was basically screaming inside, and I wrote, so one night I was just really angry and I wrote, I am trans. And these are fairly large letters. So I wrote it really big. Nothing else was on the canvas. It was a blank canvas. It was clear gesso, but that's it. And then in pencil, I just wrote, I am trans at the top. And then every time that the child would come for tutoring, I would hide it. And then eventually I was like, well, I don't have to hide the whole thing. I just have to hide the trans part. But the child is so smart, such a, so clever. When she saw, she was like, why does this painting say 1 a.m. at the top? And I was like, oh, shoot. So I almost called the painting 1 a.m. instead of I am trans. So that's actually, the X is how they mark to make sure that they do surgery in the right place.
Isn't
because
that
once they
crazy?
knock you out, they can't double check. They can't be like, are you sure? It's the left, right? So I think, so that X, anyone who's had surgery knows what that, and it's always purple. Everyone knows what that purple X means. But also because I recently updated my documents to have sex X, so I have the X on my documents.
Did this table come with
the space? Yeah, this is not mine.
God,
it's so big they can't actually get it out of the space.
They built it in here.
Yeah. Well, I think that the wall across the way got built in after this got moved in, so it's that it can't get out.
And you made these in your MFA, right? At Hunter. These are obviously larger than life size, and they hold, which painting did they hold originally, or is that painting not here anymore?
No, that painting is up there against the wall. It has a giant body print
Okay.
on it.
The one that's wrapped in poly. Okay.
But let me know if you want me to pull out the body print that didn't get used anywhere.
Yeah, I do. Is it easily accessible?
Yeah,
from
I'll
behind
come
here?
get it.
So while Paul's grabbing that, I'm just going to fill everyone in. So in Paul's thesis paper, they wrote about printing their body, sort of a way of interacting with their body, and talked about Yves Klein, who is a lovely painter from the early 20th century, who invented a blue called Yves Klein blue. And Yves Klein blue is the first ultramarine blue, which is now one of the most commonly used blues in the world.
So, for example, but it meant that like I covered myself in glue, smacked my body down with glue, and then poured pigment over that. But it meant like glue in your eyelashes, glue in your hair, glue all over your body. And then it lives in this state. It doesn't yet know what it's going to be.
We talked in the actual sit-down interview about this, and when I first saw this work, I was really drawn to it. When you were tracing, was it a very like free movement of the, like where you sectioned the painting off?
I was thinking about the cane sort of dancing or like doing the can, hence calling it can, was also like, not only is this like, most of these photos are from my physical therapy walks when I was recovering from foot surgery, but also like this idea that the cane is kind of like moving around with you. Also because I was a competition tap dancer, like I feel like I used a cane a lot in Fosse sort of moments. But so like thinking about canes and dance as related also makes a lot of sense.
Do you have a favorite up here?
That's a good question. I think they all have each photo has such an intimate moment. Like I can tell you where and when each of these photos was taken, and like with whom I was spending time. So no, I don't really have a favorite, but I think that's what's kind of interesting about this piece is that it is more about the whole than it is about the exact moment. The scale is like much larger than life for all of these things. Paintings are very large and I'm very small, and so the amount of physical labor that just goes into any amount of manipulation it's pretty high.
Harrowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's flip this back around. Thank you so much. Your work is amazing. I'm so happy for what's coming next for you. Thank you everybody for watching. Anything else you want to say to the people?
I'm so grateful. Thank you for coming in, and I feel very seen. I really appreciate it.
Okay, that's all we want.
And bike helmets forever.
Bike helmets forever. Thank you, everybody. Paul, thanks, babes.
Anytime.
Have a great day, everybody. So we gotta get you like a fashion contract.
Actually, yeah.
This is our official commercial. Fashion designers, please hire Pol Morton for a Pol Morton X, whatever your brand is. They do. Girl, come on. It speaks for itself. Hire them. I want to wear this. Yeah. So get some appliques for your suits.